Everybody. Hi and welcome. We're also going to be over in the Raising Resilience Facebook group. And what we're talking about today, I like to do this about once a month, is addressing the specific questions and concerns of my Facebook group members. We're over there, a bunch of parents really trying to raise the resilience of the whole family, starting with resilience boosting strategies, either through running smooth routines, setting limits that stick, or building positive relationships with our kids that can withstand the challenges of COVID-19 and being in quarantine, as well as all of the challenges ahead for the many years. And when I do this, I really like to have a chance to address people's specific questions. And what happens is we have regular posts where we ask, like, what's the hardest thing about being a parent right now? And have folks answer that. But we also have intake questions into the Facebook group, which many of you answered, that we're going to be addressing. And Khadijah's here. Hi, good to have you. So nice when folks are able to be here live, because you can interact in the comments and let me know what's your burning question. What's the hardest thing for you right now as a parent? How can we support you? How can I right now give you some personalized strategies and tools that you could implement today? So starting with you, Khadijah, go ahead and throw in the comments, and looks like we have a couple of folks watching here. If there is a specific area, like what is the hardest thing about raising kids, particularly in a pandemic right now, it's around their emotional resilience, their motivation, what you're finding yourself struggling with. Tell us in the comments. Don't be shy. Let me know, because the only way I can support you is if you share with me and let me know. But we're also going to be going through some that folks have shared, as far back as, like early April. Many people have said things like this. So like, for example, Kendra, who's one of our members, she wrote this: keeping myself from exploding when I feel my buttons being pushed by the 5-year-old. Absolutely. And so Kendra, I'm also going to tag you in this post and give you, make sure you get some strategies, specifically like a guide and a video that you can go to in the group. But what I want you to know, Kendra, is that this is really common, right? And why so many folks actually find their way into this group is because they find themselves as parents reacting or responding to things in a way that they really wish they didn't, right? Whether it's like yelling or dropping heavy consequences. I myself even, became so interested in all of this because I found myself defaulting to that sort of lid flip, drop a heavy consequence, sort of tiger parenting, punishment focused, motivating kind of strategy. And we need more strategies, right? So for you, Kendra, what I would say is that what I want you to start to build in for yourself is that pause. I have this really smart client of mine who, she's a lawyer. She's really incredibly accomplished and smart and intelligent, and so loving to her children in general. But she would yell. She'd yell a lot. And when we started into the work together, she was probably yelling at her daughters definitely every morning about getting out the door at that time, but at least a few times a day, most days. And she wanted to get to the other side of that. And so one of her big kind of breakthroughs, and we worked for several months on this, but I want to kind of fast track forward to her breakthrough, which is like, oh, there really can be this pause before you respond, especially if and this is something you build over time. You start to become aware of what we call in our world here over at Raising Resilience a lid flip, right? So your lid is starting to flip. You're feeling the tension come up. You feel yourself getting hot in your face, or maybe like tensing your hands or your shoulders, and you're realizing that you're not really regulating well. You're like, okay, I'm starting to hit a threshold here. And you build in a pause where you notice that and you take care of it. You take care of that feeling, either by expressing it, over, like, leave the room and just talk yourself through it. So that's one option, some self-talk, like, this is frustrating. Yeah, this makes sense. And Kendra, I want you to have make sure you go to this spot, this website, chaos2calm.gr8.com, and anybody else who's listening to this, because there are 6 strategies there that I want every parent to have. Like, I would love everyone on the planet to have this guide. So pass it along as well. it is, there's 6 quick and easy strategies to really have something productive to do with that pause, right? Where you're able to catch yourself and do something else. And this applies not just for parents, but for the children too, like helping them to notice, okay, I'm starting to lose my cool and I need to change course here. And if I don't, it's going to escalate and my button's going to get pushed harder and I'm going to react stronger, okay, more strongly. Hi, Megan. Nice to have you here, Megan Lehman. So Kendra, I recommend you head over and get that guide and go ahead and take 1 or 2 of those strategies and put them into practice. Start practicing them. In other words, like pick one for the week or for every, like with my clients we do, or in my parent program, we like try to pick a strategy we do for the month or for every 2 weeks, so that we can, a new one each 2 weeks. So we can start to really like learn those strategies so they become part of our repertoire. And a lot of us, it makes sense. We didn't grow up with this. We didn't have specific training in this. Like we need support to be able to keep our cool in the moment. So go ahead and head over to the guide, grab it, get one of those strategies in place. Pick the one that seems the easiest for you and start with that now and build in that pause for yourself, okay? We need the pause. What the pause does is it allows us to get out of reaction into adaptation or response, so we can respond. And when we respond, we get to do things. This is my next tip, besides having the pause and using one of the strategies. And this is not just for Kendra, okay? So for, in other words, like I've got, at least 7 or 8 other folks here who would love to learn mood management, like I've got Emily Glotch here. This is what she said. She says siblings under 3. Yeah. And when she's high and emotions are running high, it's really hard, right? Yeah, we can all relate to that. If you can hear Emily, just say, I hear you, Emily, and let her know. So that's what she had said. Another one is, just really trying to, deal with your 6-year-old. Shelby is saying, deal with her 6-year-old, kind of regressing and getting back to this biting, and not really listening to her. And I'm imagining, Shelby, this is also helpful for you, that you'll be able to, keep your nervous system calmer and build in that pause so that when something that upsetting and triggering, like a bite is happening, you have a strategy in place that you could be like, okay, I'm going to pause. And this is my calm down strategy I'm working with right now. So I want you to use that strategy as well. And then, I even have, Rabia who joined, and she said for her, it's meltdowns, she's got meltdowns going on. And that's really hard because, who likes to be with a screaming, crying child who's maybe even, kicking or hitting or throwing things or stomping, right? It's hard emotionally. So again, building that pause so that you can respond instead of react using one of the calm down strategies. So go ahead and grab the guide if you haven't yet, chaos2calm@gr8.com. chaos2calm.gr8.com. And the reason why is because not every strategy is going to work for every parent. And we're actually going to have a really fun training coming up on these 6 strategies where we're going to walk through them all and you can get a full download on like all the ways to use these strategies. Yeah, so Marianne is here. She was at our Navigating Meltdowns webinar this weekend. Hi, Marianne. Good to see you. And Khadija says she can relate to not listening, especially. Rebecca's here. Hi, Rebecca. Marianne was saying, yeah, the Act 1 script of actual words to role model has been so helpful to look at herself first. Like, what can I do and say when my kids' emotions are running high or my emotions are running high that can really model what it's like to really soothe yourself and self-regulate and even help your child learn those skills so they can start doing it themselves. Ultimately, we love to have our kids before they hit adolescence have like all these tools and strategies, or during, if you have an older child, of how to really manage their emotions in a way that helps them to like navigate all the different possible situations that can be upsetting. And there's so many up ahead, whether it's peer pressure situations or, hey, why isn't that kid my friend anymore? That sort of thing. Like it's all life is going to give us plenty of practice. So let's give them some skills. So Kylie had also said getting her child to listen and obey in a timely manner, but she had indicated that mood management was something that she was also working on. Maya Small was the same. She said, it was the big emotions. So if you can hear these parents, just say, I hear you. It's super helpful to know that you're not on your own with these things. And then the other thing that the second tip that I was about to go into that I didn't have a chance, and Marianne, you had also said mood management, I know, and you had said, boundaries and disrespect, right, Marianne? And if you can hear Marianne, who's here on this training, like, go ahead and just say, hey, I hear you, Marianne, or like her comment, let her know that you're with her on that. So the next thing that I really want you to think about when you're in these moments and you're just trying to, slow it down and get, calm yourself down and, really have sort of a game plan for that moment, is that I don't want you to wait until those hot moments are happening, those tricky, biting, hitting, pushing buttons moments to happen before you introduce some of these calm down strategies to your children. Yeah, and so you're really going to want to actually, like, while you're practicing a technique and strategy, which is just going to help you like a Band-Aid in the moment, right? Like a thing you can grab. I also want you to take a little time, build in a little time. It could be a 2-minute introduction for your children to introduce them to the strategy you're trying, whether it's a breath, right? Like the 4 square breath that's in the guide, or if you want to do like a roller coaster breath or a belly breath or a bear breath. That you're going to be like, let the kids know, like, it's actually okay for us to share with them what our strategies are. Oftentimes we kind of think of it as like, well, I have the game plan, so I'm going to hold the cards and I'm going to play them at the right time. But what that does is it kind of limits us on what we can teach our children, right? And other folks that were wanting mood management help, right, was Kimberly, Nina, she had said this, she had said that, it's the screaming and physical hitting is really rough. It's really hard to see the kids in that moment, really not managing themselves well, right? Where you're like really worried about their physical safety. Kimberly, I hear you. Yeah, that would concern me too. And she also indicated mood management as something that she wants help with. And what I also want to encourage all of you to consider is to register right now for the Navigating Meltdowns webinar replay, because the replay, if you register for that, it will also give you, it'll give you a 2-hour video on navigating meltdowns and tantrums that you can watch all week. And it also will give you that calm down strategies guide sheet, so you can have that. And you can kind of have those be your companions for this next week of like, how am I going to tackle these, meltdowns and tantrums and challenges? So in review, creating that pause using a calm down strategy in that moment for yourself, and also doing it out loud so your kids can hear you use it. So you can say things like, I'm going to use a breath right now because I feel like I'm getting too upset to think right. And, show it and then say, oh, it feels so much better. Let them know, like, I think I feel more patience coming back. Okay, what did you say again, sweetheart, for the 17th? Did you hear me? Like, you can start to think of other things you can do in the moment. So I want to shift over to, well, first I want to acknowledge that, did I acknowledge Crystal? Yeah. So Crystal was saying that for her too, the aggressive behavior is really upsetting. And so, yeah, and I hear you, and I want to address that in a different way in just a second here. So what she had said was, sometimes strong and sometimes aggressive emotions, outbursts, and behavior are really hard. And she would also like to learn more about handling child aggression. So let's move into, what do you do then? Okay, right? So you are hopefully creating this little bit of a pause for yourself where you can not react and just respond. And sometimes it's all we got is 3 seconds because there's a full-on fight happening, right? Other times we can step away for 5 to 20 minutes and then come back to it. So it's just kind of on that scale. But even in the really intense moments, you can build on that pause, okay? And note to yourself, like, I want to just make a note. I want to teach my child another calm down strategy this week because he or she needs more of them. So you've got those 2 things in place. Now, the third tip I want to share with you is like what to do in the moment. And this is really what we've been going over in the Setting Limits That Stick series, the last 3 videos, which are still up right now in the group. So if you want to just search on videos on the side and it'll give you all the videos, you'll see the Setting Limits That Stick title or language in the post. And what we went over is like, clearly a limit is out of bounds when they're being physically aggressive, right? So they're doing a no-go, like always a problem, never tolerated, right? Behavior like hitting or kicking or biting. And so that you don't need to necessarily pause and think, should I address this? This is a behavior you know you need to address. So the first thing you want to do is give yourself a little resource of like, okay, I'm going to address this. You like talk to yourself a little bit, build in that little moment of pause to just gather yourself. And then you're going to want to act swiftly to make sure that everybody is safe. Yeah. So, and the thing that parents often forget is that what you do matters a lot more than what you say in that particular moment. So you can say something like, we don't hit, we use words in this family, right? If it comes to you, but if it doesn't, more importantly, it's just like, get your body in between the hitting, whatever's happening, or hold hands, or do something like leave the room if they're attacking you, act swiftly, pick them up, carry them away, do something that's just going to really delineate like, this is not okay and something needs to change immediately. Okay. Even if you have to like hold their hands firmly. Now, once you have acted swiftly, this is the part that a lot of people will skip. Oftentimes they'll launch into using logic with kids, even though their lid is all the way off. They're not in a very receptive place. You might have noticed, right? And if you want to hear more about this and you're on the business, listening on the Raising Resilience business page, you need to hop over into the group where we're going to continue the discussion. Okay. Yeah. See you over there. So here we are in the group. Yeah, we're back. So one of the things that, a lot of folks will skip is they'll skip straight to the logic and try to immediately teach the kid, right? Like this, you can't, it's not okay to hurt, you can't do this. Here's why. You could hurt her and you could hurt me. And, and just like, why did you, and the big thing I want you all to try and avoid, and this is a hard one, is don't ask them why right away. Yeah. Why did you do that? Why did you hit your sister? Why did you bite me? Because guess what? They're not in a position, if they were just biting or hitting or kicking, they're not in a position to like cognitively handle that question. They're not going to be able to like pull that, pull that together for you, right? And Dominique was saying, really wanting to be firm, but gentle and loving when setting limits. So it's actually more loving and gentle and considerate to acknowledge that perhaps their brain is not in a state of, they're not in a state of mind or even have the capacity to go there with you with any kind of lengthy explanation, any kind of why did you do that? You tell me, like put your thoughts together. So I highly recommend you avoid that. And instead be more descriptive. Like, I noticed that you were with your sister and playing and things seemed to be going well. And then you hit her. And then you could state some sort of question like that is emotion focused is what I recommend, emotion focused, because they are clearly having an emotion at that moment, and be emotion coaching through it. And you could say, that looked to me like anger or frustration, like you were angry or upset. Did I get that right? And sometimes they're just like, they'll keep thrashing and going. You're like, okay, they're not even in language yet. We just need to soothe them, right? Help them get down, get their lid back on. So you move to the soothing strategies and say like, it's not okay to hit. We're going to deal with that. And let's calm down first. And you're not rewarding your kid for having a meltdown. You're not rewarding your kid for having a tantrum. You're not rewarding your kid for being aggressive by addressing their emotions. That's sometimes the thing that we feel like, oh my gosh, we're like rewarding them, and like here, Cynthia is probably wondering about this. She says, let's see, who is this? This is Cynthia Duncan. Yeah, so she says constant tantrums during school work at home. Yeah, so even like this can be especially harder with the, where it comes up in the older kids is, around pushing back on school, classroom expectations or homework expectations or other things that you're wanting help with around the house, like chores and other things. So do go back to our videos and see there's how to hack chores at home and how to get kids more engaged in their work and their activities videos up right now. So I would especially encourage Cynthia to do that. And I'll go back in the comments and I'll add some links when I watch the replay. But what I want to bring to your attention is the idea that in the moment, if they're upset, we can't argue with their feelings. Like we really need to meet them where they are and be really concrete. concrete, because that's what they can actually connect with at that moment. Any higher order level of thinking, like problem solving and analyzing, coming up with reasons, lots of strings of logic, they're not going to be able to follow it. They can't. They just can't go with you. So addressing, if you're going to be addressing anything, it's the immediate behavior and their emotions, being really concrete. So it might sound something like this: sweetheart, I saw, like they're still upset. You bring them out of the room, they're still upset, and you can say, sweetheart, it's not okay to hit, but I can see you're upset. Let's get you in a better mood. Let's calm down. Okay, how about we go over here and do one of the calm down strategies? How about we go over here and just like look at a book for a minute, or let's look out the window. Do you see any birds? I mean, redirecting their attention. It could be like, let's try that breathing tool we practiced this morning, honey. Remember the balloon breath, and you blow it up as big as you can and let it out, which I'll go into more of those in our longer training later this, in a few weeks here. But what I really want you to notice is that I'm addressing the emotions first. Address the emotions first. What do we do? Write it in the comments right now if you're listening, so you remember. Address the emotions first. And you might have to address the behavior and emotions simultaneously. But what you don't do is you don't teach them the lesson right then. This is not like, I'm going to impart on you why this is such a bad idea, kind of lesson, or like I'm going to dig into your reasons right now. Okay, so it might look like that. You swiftly take them out. You notice they're still upset. You get that lid back on using one of the calm down strategies, soothing them, giving them a break. All these strategies. And then once they start to have their lid back on, you can. And sometimes they want to keep going and they're fighting doing the soothing strategy. That means you probably have to just stay with them a little bit longer. And be like, I hear you. It's upsetting when your sister grabs your toy. Absolutely, yeah. And then you hit her because you were so upset. Yeah, that happened. I can just imagine a kid being like, like kind of letting it all out. And it's like, yeah, and it's not okay to hit your sister, which we'll address later. Right now, I need you to calm down. Let's calm down together. Okay. And sometimes they're upset and they actually just need some space and just like cry it out, let it out, and do their little outburst and get their steam. That's one of the versions, right? One of the calming strategies is actually just give it some space. But so let's say we're back into the conversation with them. We can help them to notice, like, okay, notice you're calmer now. I wonder if there's something different that you could have done to get what you needed. It sounds like what you needed, and depending on their age, how long this piece can be, but it sounds like what you really wanted to let your sister know is that it's not okay for her to grab the toy out of your hand. Is that right? And look at like how far we've gone, right? I could have instead just dropped a consequence, a punishment. I could have, tried to argue with them, their emotion, like, why are you so upset? She's only 2, right? But instead, I'm just like, I'm with them. I'm in his or her little world. I'm trying to get down with what's going on, and give them an alternative, another way that they could have gotten that desire, want, or need met, whether it's just the need to be heard and seen. Like they're pestering us, they won't leave us alone. Whether it's a need for power or control over the situation because maybe they have a dominating sibling, maybe that's their personality. But we can read the need behind the behavior and then help them find a strategy, an alternative to their less effective way of getting what they want, which is that meltdown, tantrum, and fight that they're picking with you or with their sibling or with the person. Okay, so those are some strategies there, some things, some food for thought. Now, if you've been listening in or if you're watching the replay, go ahead and type into the comments something that you're pulling out of this. Strategy, a hot tip, something you don't want to forget. It's really, I'm a learning expert, so I know what that means for your learning. When you're able to go into a mode where you take a note, and especially if you do it where other people can read it, it tends to stick better. So for your own learning, go ahead and share with us. We also I want to know, and others people want to know, what are you getting out of these tips? And if you see a comment in this thread, like go up through the thread and say like, wow, me too. Like, yes, same here. And you can put a little thumbs up or a heart or a reply to the comments, like, Maya's small, I'm going to like hers and just say, yeah, like, I hear you, hun. I hear you. This is hard for me too. My small, the big emotions are hard. It's hard to focus on that, right? So you could just put a little thumbs up on her comment, or maybe if you also, like Anna Paula Sales, have, tricky obedience issues coming up in your household, like put a little thumbs up or a heart on hers. Let her know, for example, right? And so like even with Maya, I would put her name in the comment, put her name in the little reply and just say, Maya, the big emotions are hard, are hard over here in my household too. And like especially during shelter in place, right? When we're all together all the time, and it's not easy. Yeah, so go ahead and do go through the thread and do comment with each other, okay? Because that way we can build more of this sense of community here and support each other. We're not alone in this. We don't have to tackle all of these behavior challenges and mood management, roadblocks, and limit setting tough moments on our own. That's why this group is here, and that's why I develop the programs I do, where smart, like big-hearted parents get together and really build up their skills over the year together, so that they can really thrive as a family and not have to do it alone. So yeah. Right. Yeah. So Marianne's takeaway, thank you. She wrote, can't reason with an upset brain. Calm and redirect first. Yes, sometimes it's just the switching of the order, and remembering what comes first that makes such a difference. Yeah. And of course, I have a whole lot of other strategies, and all of this is based on the 7 pillars of raising a resilient child. And so I want to share that with you real quick. And the reason why is because I think it's really important that all of this is anchored in some kind of form or structure, so that we're not just sort of like going at it with like, okay, I'm jabbing at emotional mastery today and I'm jabbing at motivational mastery tomorrow. And and I'm not really sure like where this all comes together. Well, so I've taken what I've learned from having hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of conversations with parents over the last 18, 20 years, but especially in the last 3, really learning what are the sticking points, like what are the areas that don't necessarily come naturally to every parent, right? Because here we have this job where we have this huge high stakes outcome of raising a whole human being and so much responsibility, whether it's household management to, basically being your child's coach and cheerleader and being your child's like mentor and homework helper right now and being your child's everything provider, right? That this is huge job. And then there's this huge outcomes that we're looking for of really raising our resilient child, really helping like these outcomes that are at the top here, right? Like making sure that they have social intelligence and great friendships and more, feel satisfied and healthy about their lives and, able to navigate hard things without creating behavior challenges, right, at home. And generally, there's a huge connection too between resiliency and better engagement and better performance in school academically. There's links between resilience, especially through primary relationships, like with parents and caregivers, and higher academic achievement. It's just true. Like the research shows the connection. And so what the 7 pillars are is where most parents tend to find a gap, where it didn't come naturally. Like I don't have here like food, clothing, and hydration, right? And shelter, because those are some of the knowns that are kind of more obvious, the basics, right? What's focused on here are the areas that like most parents, when they take my discovery quiz based on this, will find at least 1, maybe 2, 3, or 5. I mean, I just got off a call with a family that indicated that they'd actually like to learn all 7, and they're hopping into my year-long program where we go over all 7 of them across the year and do a deeper dive in emotional mastery and motivation mastery, because they're like, it's true. Like Vanessa, you found them. Those are the gaps, and they have strengths, more strengths in some, and lots to learn in others. So what I encourage every parent to do in this group is to take the parent discovery quiz, especially if you're drawn to these kinds of talks where we're going to problem solve, we're going to really look at specific strategies and tools, and you would like it to be more personalized. Like what should I focus on? And it could be that it's mostly just emotional mastery, and you'll know which of the videos to listen to and watch. And we can even get you a personalized plan of like how you can focus on that over the next months or year. And then other folks will be like, you know what, across the board, I want all of these, Vanessa. So then that would be a great time for us to explore see if you're a good fit to hop into my year-long immersion, where you can join other parents who are also dedicating a year to focusing on learning all of these pillars, to become really resilience boosting parents and feeling very effective and calm and confident when you approach things like hard behaviors, like meltdowns and tantrums that are mentioned here. So I really encourage all of you to head over to the Parent Discovery Quiz if you haven't taken it yet. I know Mary Ann has, and Mary Ann, I'd be curious too if you would share with us like what you noticed from your quiz results that was, interesting for you. What it was that kind of brought your attention to, wanting to focus on one or two areas in particular, or what your impression was. And the reason why I'm asking Marianne is because, she also spent the 2 hours with me where we were able to, spend some time working on navigating meltdowns this weekend. And I'm just so curious. So it's not letting me put the link in the thread right now, but it is up in the post. It's a Google Doc and it's a form and it's up in the post, and you can absolutely click on it up there. And what it'll do is it'll bring you to the Parent Discovery Quiz. And the Parent Discovery Quiz is really fun. Like Marianne might be able to share with us if she has a chance to get back to us. But so here's the Discovery Quiz. And what's great about the Discovery Quiz is it allows us to, just look at each of the pillars, and, that we were talking about, these 7 pillars here. And it really gives us an opportunity to consider like what areas, if I were to focus on, would really make the difference, So answering questions like, do I consider myself a beginner, or maybe practicing, or really, master a level of mastery of these different areas, whether it's motivation or emotional mastery. So like knowing how to handle power struggles, meltdowns, tantrums with calm and confidence, if you feel like a beginner, you would put yourself here. If you feel like you're still practicing but have more to learn, here you feel like you've got it pretty much down, but you'd like to maybe have a few more ideas and tips and strategies. And this is like, I'm good, move on, next, right? So you would rank yourself through, and just for your own discovery, go ahead and put in, where you are with all of these things, like knowing how to motivate your kids without using punishments or rewards, using self-motivation strategies to coach your child when they're lacking motivation, fostering a growth mindset. I don't know what that is, so I guess I'm a beginner, right? For example. And you go through these and just go ahead and fill them out, whether it's setting limits, routines, building lifelong relationships, inspiring character development, learning through conflict resolution, and feeling like you're on the same page and with your other caregivers and with your kids. And then you total up your answer here. So let's say that was like a 35. And you put in your name, you put in your full name, and you put in your email address here, and then your phone number. And what happens is, in the ages of your kids, let's say like right now, like if you have a 5-year-old, for example, and then go ahead and let me know what your biggest takeaway was from this Mindset Monday, this Real Talk with Real Kids, okay? And say, like, let me know right here. So share your thoughts here. And then here's where, if you click yes, I will send you the parent guide. You don't have to do anything else. It'll just come to you. And then what you have an opportunity to do is apply for a parent strategy session with me. And this is if you marked any 1s, 2s, and 3s in your parent discovery quiz, or you're like just really interested in learning about what programs I have for parents, so that we can see if it's a good fit for you to hop in before our next year-long immersion starts in July. I've got some great bonuses for folks who join before July, like some a free coaching session and some guides. So I would love to have the opportunity to check that out with you now. And I just opened up sessions on my calendar. So what you would do is you would just answer the questions here, right? What pillars you would love to have the most support with, and check all the ones that apply so I can get a sense of where to guide you next. And then how committed you are to making those changes, whether you're a 10 or a 7 or a 4, like let me know, be honest, so I can give a sense if it's a good fit for us to look at this right now together. Because if you're a 7 or lower, I'm probably going to say, okay, let's wait, wait until you feel like it's really pressing and you feel very committed to making changes and wanting to learn more. And then these are the times I've opened up on my calendar this week that you can select which ones fit for you. Like you'd say you can make all of these, but if you can't make any of them, you can just put, please contact me to schedule a different time and we'll try to fit you in this week. I don't want you to wait to get support, okay? And then you click submit. And then I'll kick you that guide. You'll get the Calm Parent Guide, and then you'll hear from me about whether or not you qualify for a strategy session. So this is how we can continue the conversation from this Real Talk with Real Parents those of you who are tagged in this, I hope you have a chance to hear my tips that were specifically for you, because I really want you to have support. I don't want you to go at this alone, because you don't need to. It turns out you don't have to do this alone, and you can get the support that will specifically address your concerns for your child and your family, and specifically help you boost their resilience. Marianne says, I highly recommend watching the webinar, do the quiz, and join Vanessa for a free 20-minute session. And yeah, I appreciate you reflecting that back to me, Marianne. Yeah, I want to help as many parents as possible. And I also want to find great fit folks to join the program, so that we can have a amazing cohort in July, so we can learn together for the year. And so it's just an opportunity for me to help my community, and especially the parents who are leaning in and saying, like, I am motivated, I want to make changes, because if nothing else, at the end of the day, I've done my part in helping parents build relationships that last a lifetime with their kids. And to me, there's no greater gift that a parent can give their children than a really healthy relationship, so that when the times of trouble come up, they're a teenager out in the parking lot deciding whether or not to try vaping for the first time with their friends, or they have their first rejection from college letter that comes through. They're off to school, and they're trying to, they're off to university, and they're trying to figure out like what to major in, that you're the person, or at least their top 3 people that they come to, because your relationship is based on so much trust and so much respect and love and appreciation, that they know that you've got their back no matter what. And I believe that these 7 areas, because what I've seen in the research and now time and time again with the parents that work with me, that if we address the routines, the limits, if we get on the same page about what we value as a family, if we know how to learn through conflict resolution, if we have some level of practice with emotional and motivational mastery, and we can build those lifelong relationships that we can rest into, and just have that good feeling of like, I did my best. Like I even went and got extra resources, whether it's just being in the group and following along and coming to these Monday talks, or coming to my longer webinars and trainings like the one that's coming up. Or if it's actually coming over to, join programs with me and with the other smart parents who are doing that. I'm just so excited that parents in our time, in this period, like 200 years ago, I don't know that this would have existed, especially not in this iteration, maybe even 50 years ago, right? Like where parents are starting to be aware that, oh, there are like skills and tools and strategies, educators too, right? That actually set up kids for more success, and our whole family for more harmony and more positive connection. And they're available, and I get to have them, and my kids get to have them. And so, yeah, I very much encourage you to take me up on the recommendation of just, going ahead and applying, and at least take the quiz and see what it is that, you could focus on in the next 3, 6, 12 months that could really make the difference for you and for your kids. So I encourage you to do that. And until next week, hope you have a wonderful week. Try to watch the webinar if you have a chance. I'll also throw that link up into how to register for that, to get your post in the group up just this week with the YouTube link. So you can also head over to that. So lots of ways to continue to learn this week. I want parents to feel well-resourced, really well supported and loved, and taken really good care of in our group here and in the space and in general. So last thing I could say is, if you really enjoyed this, go ahead and like the post and invite some friends to the group. I had a parent last week invite 12 of her friends, and I think some of you are here, right? Because Janae invited you. And that's because she's been working with me, and she's been seeing results, she's been seeing changes, and she just wants other parents to have access to that. And I've built in this Facebook group for us to connect and to learn together. So if you have folks in your world, if someone comes to mind, you're like, who else? Who's like the parents of my kids' friends, or my best friend who's also is just having her first kids right now, and she's trying to figure out how to do the shelter in place thing. Somebody that's in your world, even in another parent group, where you're like, yeah, there's this other group too, like let's head over here because there's also more resources. This is a great time to share resources with people. So how you would do that is you would go into the group, and it's really easy. I'll show you real quick. There's a sidebar piece in the group that allows you to invite friends, and all you need to do is just type in their name. which is really lovely because it's easy. Yeah, I'll show you. It's real quick here. So this is my view. So you'll see some admin features, but what you'll see right here is just this little thing here where it says invite members, and you could say, hi, these resources are free and awesome. and I've been learning a lot, like something like that. And then what you can do is just go down your friend list here, go down your friend list and start hitting invite, to the people you want to invite. And of course, I won't do that because I've already invited a lot of the folks I know, but you just hit invite. Like, I could invite Elizabeth actually. And then they'll have a chance to, answer the registration questions. Like I have 4 people right here wanting to join the group. And then when they answer the registration questions, then I'll have a chance to do some of this real talk for real parents with their questions. So by the way, if I didn't get to yours, don't worry, there's stuff for you in here as well. And I do my best to try to talk to everybody that I can in these, and I'll try to get to you next month or next time I do one of these talks. So if you enjoyed this, let me know. Just put a little comment in the bottom. Until next time, and hope to see some of y'all over on that parent discovery quiz and discussion or the application, so we can get on the calendar and do some one-on-one and get you some personal strategies. So bye for now. Hope all of you have a good week, and we'll see you next time.